Blazing, ruthless, and downright savage. That's how the fastest organism to ever live on this planet makes a kill. That poor duck never stood a chance. Armed with dagger-like, merciless talons and a body of pure, sinewy muscle, this ferocious bird reaches bone-shattering speeds of up to 200 miles per hour, unleashing an aerial assault of violent strikes on its defenseless, panic-stricken victims. Capable of spotting its target from 2 miles away and locking its bloodthirsty vision onto it, it strikes with brutal, surgical precision, leaving nothing but carnage and utter destruction in its wake. Meet the living missile with a killer instinct, the peregrine falcon. It's the middle of the 20th century, and the world is gripped by the biggest conflict ever known to mankind, World War II. Allied and Axis forces are throwing everything they've got to gain an edge over their enemy, and the most valuable resource for this is access to information. Back then, both sides relied heavily on homing pigeons to carry messages across different troops to coordinate their moves and relay intelligence. Fighter planes were instructed to carry a box of these pigeons so that if they were shot down behind enemy lines, they could release them to send a message back for help. Initially, this turned out to be a powerful method to keep communication flowing for both sides. But soon, forces began to notice the number of homing pigeons reaching their targets successfully was becoming alarmingly low. The reason being the fastest predator on the planet. Both Allied and Axis forces trained peregrine falcons to intercept and kill these homing pigeons before they could relay any information to the opposing side. Though it's unclear which side started employing this tactic first, regardless, the strategy proved so effective that the British Air Ministry ultimately issued orders to eliminate these falcons to protect their pigeons. Between 1940 and 1946, nearly 600 of these birds were gunned down, with countless eggs and nests being obliterated by both sides in a desperate bid to save their communication lines. This, however, wasn't the only time these savage birds proved their worth in warfare. There's plenty more to uncover, but we'll get to the rest later in the video. First, let's give them a proper introduction. Falco peregrinus, or commonly known as the peregrine falcon or duck hawk in North America, is a crow-sized raptor that can be found almost everywhere on the planet, except for the icy hellscapes of the poles, and for some reason, a good chunk of New Zealand. As the world's most widely distributed raptor, it thrives in a variety of environments, such as coastal cliffs, vast prairies, tundras, valleys, and more recently, high-rise buildings. Its name, both in English and Latin, means wandering falcon, a fitting title, especially for those in northern populations that migrate quite frequently. Being a medium-sized raptor, the peregrine falcon packs a punch with a body length of 13 to 23 inches, and a wingspan that stretches from 29 to 47 inches. And while the males and females sport similar dark, badass plumage with rusty white underparts, the females measure up to 30% or sometimes even 50% bigger than the males. The males clock in at around 12 to 35 ounces, while the females can tip the scales at 25 to 53 ounces. Even though it looks like a really stunning bird and was even once seen as a symbol of royalty because of this majestic appearance, it's not really that striking allure that's its most famous feature. The peregrine falcon is an absolute speed demon, hitting faster speeds than any other creature on Earth. During its signature stoop, a steep aerial dive, it climbs to insane heights and then plunges down at over 200 miles per hour, smashing into its prey with one wing to avoid wrecking itself on impact. In 2005, one of these winged missiles clocked in at a ridiculous 242 miles per hour. And when scientists went to figure out just how fast an ideal falcon could tear through the skies, theoretically using all of its aerodynamic prowess, they discovered that it could hit about 250 miles per hour close to the ground, and a mind-boggling 388 miles per hour up at higher altitudes. So it wouldn't even be shocking if they blew past their current records somewhere in the future. The reason is that its compact, sleek body is a stealthy, high-powered machine, built with several adaptations to handle those crazy, jaw-dropping falls. First off, these birds have a sleek teardrop shape and super stiff wing feathers that let them slice through the air, barely feeling any wind resistance. When they dive at breakneck speeds, those feathers vibrate in a way that sounds like a tearing of a sheet canvas, quote-unquote. Now, if an average bird tried to take a nosedive like that, it would probably wreck its lungs from all that insane air pressure. But the peregrine falcons have these tiny little bone bumps called tubercles on their nostrils that channel the airflow away from their noses, making it easier for them to breathe while plummeting and keeping air pressure from messing them up. Their lungs themselves are loaded with air sacs that stay inflated even when they're exhaling at high speeds. Besides that, these seemingly petite birds have massive, powerful hearts that can pump up to 900 beats per minute, nearly 11 times faster than the average human heart. This insane heartbeat lets oxygen zip through their bodies super fast so that they don't wear out easily. Their flight muscles are connected to stiff, pointed wings that anchor to a hefty keel bone, giving them the strength to generate some serious flapping power, and in turn, more speed with up to 4 wing flaps per second. On top of that, peregrines have an extra pair of vertebrae in their tailbone, which gives them a bigger area to anchor those strong muscles, and it boosts their tail movement and agility. But flying at those crazy high speeds isn't just a risk for their lungs. The extreme air pressure can damage their eyes, too. So to handle that, these birds have a third transparent eyelid called a nictitating membrane that shields their eyes from the rush of air while spreading tears and clearing out debris without messing up their vision. Their tears are as thick as maple syrup, helping to keep their eyes from drying out. These sharp eyes can spot their prey from 2 miles away. To help them lock onto their targets, they've got black malar stripes that cut down glare from the sun, letting them see better in bright conditions. While it's considered a hypothesis yet, experts have noticed that these stripes are thicker where there's more sunlight, which backs up the idea pretty well. Peregrine falcons also boast an incredibly vast visual processing speed. Basically, they can detect quick movements at rates of 129 flickers per second, referred to as flicker fusion frequency. Having such a fast visual processing speed allows them to see movements in great detail and react quickly to their environment. To put that into perspective, humans can only handle about 60 flickers per second. So not only can peregrine falcons spot prey from way out, but they can also track it effortlessly as it moves and makes pinpoint attacks during their high-speed dives. It's like how houseflies see the world in slow motion, except they're even faster, with a speed of around 270 flickers per second. On top of everything else, when these falcons are in high-speed dives, the gravitational force, known as G-force, kicks in hard. This pressure can mess with the blood supply to the eyes, and if it's too intense, it could lead to blindness along with several other conditions. Fighter pilots, for example, are trained to handle G-forces of around 8 to 9 Gs, which is already double what the average human can tolerate. But peregrine falcons are on another level. These savage predators can handle a mind-blowing 25 Gs of force, which is 25 times the pressure of gravity slamming down on them, while staying fully conscious and able to use their vision to its maximum capacity. Their brutal hunt usually kicks off in wide open spaces, over water, marshes, valleys, fields, and even tundra, scanning for prey either from a high perch or while cruising through the sky. This deadly bird has locked its eyes on a pigeon, and the prey knows it's in trouble. The pigeon, now panicked, scrambles for an escape, while the falcon calmly weighs its options. First, it decides to engage in a classic mid-air chase. The pigeon, though, is really fast, and the falcon barely misses it on the first strike, coming terrifyingly close. But then, it unleashes its signature move, the stoop. It flies upside down mid-air like a fighter jet, tucks in its feet, and folds in its wings and tail. The dive starts slow, but quickly turns into a freefall, reaching insane speeds. The falcon then slams into the pigeon mid-flight, grabbing it with its deadly talons. Sometimes, the impact alone is enough to kill or stun the prey. And if it's still moving, the falcon will snatch it mid-air, and if the catch is too heavy, this relentless hunter simply drops it to the ground after killing it and feasts there. During these violent showdowns, its notched upper beak comes into play too. When it hits the prey, it can sever the spinal cord at the neck, ending the poor creature's life instantly and making a vicious, calculated kill every time. Apart from pigeons, these deadly predators will devour pretty much anything that they can take down with their compact, deadly frames. Doves, waterfowls, game birds, ducks, geese, parrots, smaller hawks, owls, cranes. Sometimes they'll even go after other peregrines. It's estimated that they feast on around 1,500 to 2,000 bird species, which makes up about a fifth of the bird species worldwide. But their savage appetite doesn't stop there. These killers also go after mammals and reptiles like mice, voles, bats, lemmings, martins, snakes, and even take down animals as big as red foxes. They're not picky about their diet. Fish also make up a fair share of their menu. This brutality extends beyond the hunting grounds as well. When it comes to defending their nests, these birds don't mess around. They will strike back fiercely at intruders, whether it's larger birds, big cats, or even humans. This wildlife conservation officer had just raided a peregrine falcon's nest, snatching her eggs for some conservation project, and the mother falcon is obviously not too happy about it. She dives at him repeatedly, screaming furious calls to send off a warning that her nest is off limits. Though there's no known case of these birds actually killing a human, they can definitely leave some nasty wounds if you push them too far. But aside from their savage side, the bond between peregrine falcons and humans stretches back over 3,000 years. The peregrine falcon is a highly admired falconry bird, and it was first trained by nomads in Central Asia. Still today, falconers use them at airports when they're flown to scare off other birds, reducing the risk of bird strikes and making air traffic a whole lot safer. During the Franco-Prussian War in the 1870s, German forces put peregrine falcons to work, intercepting French homing pigeons carrying messages for help during the siege of Paris. That tactic ended up inspiring their use again in World War II, almost 70 years later. Not only that, their iconic stoop dives, where they roll back their feathers and tuck in their feet, was thought to have inspired the design of the B-2 bomber jets. Peregrine falcons are fierce too when it comes to loyalty. They are monogamous and they mate for life. When the breeding season kicks in, these pairs put on a show with aerial acrobatics and spirals and steep dives where the male even passes prey to the female mid-air. And once they've mated, the female picks the nest site and lays 3 to 5 eggs, which are incubated for about 29 to 33 days. When the chicks hatch, they are totally reliant on their parents for up to 2 months. Peregrine falcons hit reproductive age between 1 and 3 years, and they can live up to 20 years in the wild. But almost 50 to 70% of chicks don't make it through their first year, thanks to predators like larger hawks and owls, plus the dangers in colliding with man-made objects. Back in the 1970s, these falcons were listed as endangered in many areas because of the widespread pesticide use, especially DDT. But once it got banned, they made a killer comeback. According to the IUCN Red List, there are about 100,000 to 500,000 mature peregrine falcons worldwide, and they're now listed as least concern with populations continuing to grow. So, what do you think? Is there any bird out there that can rival the speed and ferocity of a peregrine falcon? Or are they the undisputed kings of the sky? Share your 2 cents in the comments down below, and I will catch you in the next one.